You think being hard to manipulate makes you strong. You don't get guilt-tripped. You don't get pulled into drama. You don't bend just because someone's emotional. People even admire it. They call you grounded, unshakable, different. Here's the part you're not seeing. That same trait is probably why your relationships keep rotting quietly, not exploding, not collapsing in chaos, just dying slowly. Because when someone tries to reach you emotionally and nothing moves, they don't feel impressed. They feel alone as hell. And this is the contradiction nobody tells you. The harder you are to manipulate, the harder you are to be close to. This video isn't about toxic people trying to control you. That's fucking everywhere. No, it's about the moments where emotional pressure is the point, and your immunity to it becomes the problem. Sigmund Freud had a brutal way of putting this.
Intimacy depends on the ability to affect each other.
These are the signs you're difficult to manipulate and what it's already costing you. First sign, you start seeing someone early on. This is what happens. They get excited about you. They text a lot. They ask where this is going. You don't mirror it, not because you're playing games, because that's genuinely how you are. They say, I miss you. You answer, yeah, it's been a busy week. They say, do you actually love me? You answer, I wouldn't be here if I didn't. Short, true, no extra. They get upset one night. They're clearly anxious. They say, why are you so calm about this? You say, I don't see the point of freaking out. Early on, this works. They tell their friends, he's so solid, he doesn't get dramatic. They don't need reassurance all the time. You feel respected, desired even. That's why the relationship keeps going. Now here's where it turns. A few weeks later, the same moves come back, but with more pressure. They say, can you just say you want me? Why don't you ever fight back? This is manipulation. Not evil, not conscious. It's emotional leverage. If I push here, you'll move closer, and you don't. You answer the same way you always do. You know I fucking want you, I don't have to say it all the time. I don't respond well to pressure. And this is the moment that matters. They stop pushing, not because they're satisfied, because they're done testing that lever. They stop coming to you for reassurance. They call a friend instead. Yeah, that fucking friend. They vent to someone else. They start getting comfort outside the relationship. You are no longer the place where emotional tension gets resolved. That is sign one. Not that you're cold, not that you're wrong, that the first thing that made you attractive, not reacting, not being emotionally steerable, is the first thing that teaches the other person you're not the one to lean on when it counts. And yes, this probably kept you safe from a lot of bullshit, but when you're not the one to lean on, you don't get leaned with. You get worked around. Second sign, nothing blows up. Nobody raises their voice. You just get skipped. They say it casually. I already decided. I didn't think it needed a conversation. I just went ahead with it. They already booked the trip, already told their parents, already agreed to the move. You weren't part of that moment, not because you were busy, not because you were checked out, because involving you felt like dragging a couch through mud. You weren't useful for emotional mess. Now you're not useful for decisions either. They don't sit with you and talk it through. They don't throw half ideas at you. They don't ask, what do you think? So they decide without resistance. You hear it like an announcement. You're not asked. You're not argued with. You're fucking irrelevant. And here's the insult that actually lands. They're not being sneaky. They're not being cruel. They're being efficient as hell. Pushing you is a waste of energy. So they stop pushing. Then they notify you quickly, like updating software, not like talking to a partner. That is sign two. Not betrayal, not drama, the downgrade. You're no longer part of how things get shaped. You're the person who gets told after it's irreversible. First they stop leaning on you, then they stop deciding with you. And now you're about to find out what happens when someone stops needing you at all. Grab a beer. Sign 3. This is where it turns ugly. They don't argue with you anymore, not because you won, because they gave up. They don't push your buttons. They don't tease. They don't provoke a reaction just to see if you'll crack. They stop trying to get anything out of you. They don't look at you when they say something risky. They don't wait for your response. They don't care if you react or not. You're still in the room. You're just not relevant. And here's the insult you don't notice at first. They stop wanting to affect you. You're no longer a surface worth pressing on. That's not maturity. That's resignation. Pulling doesn't work. Pushing doesn't work. Pressure doesn't work. So they stop applying force altogether. And when someone stops trying to move you in a relationship, they're already halfway out, even if they're still sleeping next to you. That is sign 3. Not that you're rejected, not that you're replaced, that you're boring to push against. And nothing kills desire faster than a wall that never moves. Let's be clear about what just happened. You are hard to manipulate. That part is real. You don't cave, you don't bend, you don't get steered by pressure. And yes, that gives you control. But here's the part nobody advertises. That control costs you connection. Because relationships don't survive on independence. They survive on being able to push and feel something give. You don't give, so people adapt. They lean elsewhere. They decide without you. They stop trying to move you at all. Not out of malice, out of efficiency. You don't get dramatic endings. You get quiet replacements. And that's the real trade nobody warns you about. You win every emotional standoff and slowly lose your seat in the relationship. So if you're watching this thinking, yeah, this sounds familiar, good. That means you're not broken. You're just finally seeing the bill. And the bill isn't paid in guilt or drama or chaos. It's paid in absence, silence, distance, people doing fine without needing you. That's the price of being unmovable. No sermon, no fix. You lose them because eventually there's nothing left to push against.